Hello, today I'm going to teach you how to make things with tube. Now, it's extremely simple. As you can see behind me, it is a bicycle. Everything here is made with tube. Tube is extremely easy, so I'll be telling you how to change your settings and make things like blades for swords, and we may even get some furniture in the future. So get ready for a part 2. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go onto watch menu. We're going to click on backpack, make a pen, use. Now we're going to grab our maker pen. Now we're going to go on that maker pen menu. Then create should already be on, but I'm going to click create. Now if you have an invention that you've already spawned before this video, it will show. So you have to click palette, shapes, and tube. Now swatches means changing your colour and material. I will teach you some terrain rather than other stuff, because terrain is probably the easiest thing to learn with tube. So you can change it. I will get to the swatches later in the video when we do some terrain. Now you're going to click back on tools. Now you should see this stuff on the side here. I'm just going to close all mine so you have a better view. You should see all of this stuff on the side. Now you can change it all. Create tool settings. You can change it so your object is default. So if it's on, you can't grab it, or you can grab it. If it's object default, you can't. You can only grab it with your maker pen. Off, you can't grab it. Now I'm gonna go into create shape mode, so you can either scale or move it. Okay, now we're gonna go into this uniform shapes. This is extremely helpful if you're making terrain and weapons. Okay, so I'll just show you what it does. So turn it on for me, and then I'll show you what it does. So rather than your lines looking like this when you move them, when you move your maker pen like that, they will look something a lot like this. Straight lines, even when you... This really helps if you want to make furniture, bikes and terrain. So now, I'm just going to delete that. Now we're going to go on to create tube settings. Now this is extremely helpful as well if you're trying to make terrain. So you're going to click it, and then it should show up. Tube radius, that means like bigger and smaller tubes. So it goes smaller whenever I turn it all the way to 0.1. When I turn it to 1, it goes really big. 25, that's just about 75%. It's really big, you can't even see it on the camera. 8 is a decent, fairly sized. This is what I use for terrain. Now, tube height scale. This judges how thick your tube is. So if I turn it all the way to 0.1, it'll go really small rather than wide. So now tube facets. This also is extremely helpful for terrain because there's multiple other ways you can use tube facets for terrain. 4 is the best, in my opinion, for terrain. So now, what I want you to do is, I want you to change it from 10, look which one you like, whatever you're making. It's like a pentagon, octagon, pentagon, I don't really know my goddamn shapes. 4 is a simple square, 3 is a triangle, 10 is a sphere, well not really a sphere, a cylinder. Then we'll also get the snapping. Tube analog mode, brush. This, it doesn't really matter, but I would rather keep it on brush if you're a builder out of tube. Then smooth tubes. Okay, now smooth tubes is something that you want. So smooth tubes, so look at my shape, goes from this to this. This is what I mean by really helpful terrain. Put it on 4 and you can make really nice terrain. I'll also spawn a few examples, then I'll teach you how to make terrain. So you see, you got all that. Connect nearby tubes. This is also helpful for outlining and other stuff like that. Like if you want to outline a couch. So I'll show you what it doesn't do. So this is what it doesn't do. It disconnects all your tubes so you can't connect them. Then, so for example, I turn it on. Look how my tubes are. I can move them all across the place and they'll stay together, which I think is really helpful. Circuits of debugging, I might do a video on them, I'm not too sure. General settings, I'll do them some other day. But now we're going to get to making our own terrain. So you're going to want to go onto palette on the bottom, and go on and click on swatches, material. Then I like to use sand. Then I usually use my colour to Terra Verte if I'm making like grass terrain. So I'll just spawn an example really fast, just so that you can see. This is one of my examples. I'll spawn over here and then I'll just move it. This is not my best terrain. I've got multiple of unpublished terrain, but this is just like a hilly mountainside. So for example, then I'll also spawn some of my other terrain really fast. I will make a video on trees soon. Just not. This is unpublished. I don't know why I made it. It's not the best because I had to rush on it. But we got a lot of other terrain. Hang on, I'll spawn one outside the map, just so that you can see. This is some of my terrain as well. So now we're gonna get to making our own terrain. It is extremely easy, and I think you guys can learn extremely quick. So we're gonna want to go back onto our Maker Pen menu. Once we got our color selected, we're gonna go on to our create tube settings. I would use tube facets 4. Make your tube height scale 1. Make a tube radius 0.08. This doesn't really matter, but turn on uniform shapes. Now we're gonna get to grid. Use smooth tubes and use connect nearby tubes. So at the top you'll see snapping, turn it to grid. Now we're just gonna make one single tube straight line. So you see I'm all on straight. Now we're gonna go back on our Maker Pen menu. We're gonna clone it. Also turn off grid once you because you don't really need grid anymore. Now we're gonna turn it. Now we're just gonna click move on our Maker Pen menu, and we're just gonna move it anywhere we want. It doesn't really matter. If you're going for a rough terrain, I would do what I'm doing. If you're going for like a smooth, nice terrain, I would just press it, and you see those little axes. Just use those to move it back and forth. So now just keep on selecting. Select those two, put them together, and then clone them. Then just keep on doing that. Keep on cloning, keep on cloning. Now I'll just use this because I'm not trying to make a big terrain. I'm not trying to make a map, but I'm making a map. That's a hint. It's a really nice map. It's a Half-Life game. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go onto our Maker Pen menu, palette, swatches, color, and change the color to ultra. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to recolor. I'm going to clone one, and I'm going to recolor it. If it clones, there we go. I'm going to clone one. Then I'm just going to move it in between some slots inside of the terrain, because then it makes like a sandy node. It looks like sand. So just keep on doing that, and then in the end it won't look exactly like mine since I'm just doing a quick one. But if you pause the video and make your terrain, unpause it, and your terrain should look something like similar like this, but a lot more. Well, it should look something like this or this. But that's just my example really fast. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and come back for more tutorials in the future.